There's a theory regarding personality types that I subscribe to, that being that the 16 personality types can be divided into 4 groups: painters, crafters, photographers, and sculptors. Painter types have these cognitive functions: TI, or introverted thinking, NE, or extroverted intuition, SI, or introverted sensing, and FE, or extroverted feeling, and includes these 4 types: INTPs, ENTPs, ISFJs, and ESFJs. These 4 types all have a similar way of expressing themselves and engaging with reality. They are called painters because they can paint a picture of any given scenario.
My legs are frozen solid. You'll have to cut them off with a saw.
No, Patrick, I can't do that because I already cut off my own arms.
What the?
In other words, they are storytellers. Or if you wanted to put it in a more unflattering way, they can be BS artists or just flat-out liars. What makes painters special is their ability to sell you on an idea.
So if you want to make more money and keep the money that you make, better call Saul.
They can put something into words in such a convincing way. They can make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
But there's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile, and it's worth fighting for.
Or they can instill a vivid sense of existential dread.
You've reached the Navy's automated phone service.
Squidward, the robots are running the Navy!
Not the Navy!
And they can do it all with the power of speech.
He's a monster.
Of course, each type will focus on different aspects of life. INTPs lead with TI, or introverted thinking, so they focus on logic. They tend to paint a picture of the truth itself. This is not to be confused with photographer types, who capture reality as it is. Reality can be far too mundane. A photographer type will tell you how it is.
Well, here's what's going to happen.
But an INTP will do much more than that. They won't just tell you that life sucks and is unfair. They will go in depth about the cosmic horror you reside in such a precise and descriptive way that they leave you mesmerized while staring into the abyss.
I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be.
They break everything down into bare parts and explain every nauseating detail.
By the way, I took the liberty of fertilizing your caviar.
This is why many horror writers are INTPs, for instance. And you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like the worst salesman ever. And that's a good point.
Once there was an ugly barnacle. He was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
But there is an appeal to seeming like the only person who gets it, the only one who is truly honest, the lone person who knows how bad things really are. While merchants of phony good news might be broadly more appealing to people, there are many INTP YouTubers who make a living selling black pills. Believe it or not, there is a market for bad news, even bad news that instills a sense of hopelessness, and INTPs are experts at breaking bad news.
No one would want a friend as ugly as I am.
Sure they would. It makes them feel better about the way they look.
They often have calm, soothing, monotone voices.
I have to sit like this. You see, if I were to sit normally, my deductive skills would immediately be reduced by roughly 40%.
And they excel at seeming like the objective voice of reason.
Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
This detached impartiality makes it less likely someone will take offense to their statements, since they avoid personal attacks. They are just painting a picture of the truth.
What is it? It is... It is green.
Now, ENTPs are quite a bit different. They lead with NE, or extroverted intuition, so they are very open to new ideas and enjoy attention.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
They may sometimes be confused for a crafter type, since they may appear to have a populist bent to them, but this is mostly due to them being innate contrarians. They always root for the underdog.
They are never, ever letting you in. But listen, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because you don't need them.
especially when it's controversial.
That really boils down to, I disagree with you politically.
They are quite happy to provoke people because that generates discussion and arguments, and ENTPs are extremely good at arguing.
Which was more culturally significant, the Renaissance or Single Ladies by Beyoncé?
And whatever Beyoncé does, I don't think she's quite got that ambition.
So what, the work of a few straight white men just blows Beyoncé out of the water? Is that what you're saying, on camera?
They are so eloquent that they can persuade you that up is down and then laugh at you when you leave the room because they themselves don't believe what they are saying.
A long time ago, I implanted you with a subdermal chip that could call upon dormant nanobots in your bloodstream to restructure your anatomy and turn you into a car.
Oh my god!
Concentrate, Morty. Concentrate and turn into a car, Morty. Never mind, here's a taxi. Get in, it's fine.
They are salesmen of wacky and outrageous ideas.
What's heavier, a kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers? That's right, it's a kilogram of steel, because steel is heavier than feathers.
They're both a kilogram.
But steel's heavier than feathers.
ENTPs are the definition of edgelords. They float on the periphery of what is acceptable and will stop just before it gets them in trouble.
Let's just calm down. Talk about things. I did you wrong, but I didn't mean it.
They expertly ride this line and know how to push people's buttons, but most of the time, they don't have much of a goal. They'd rather just debate for eternity, and will disagree with everyone about everything for the sake of generating conversation, just because they are bored.
You're asking me why? I did it because I was bored.
They are great storytellers and might claim to know the truth, much like INTPs do.
At a certain point, you gotta ask yourself, what are the odds this is legit, not just some big lie we're all telling ourselves because we're afraid to die alone?
But the difference is that to the ENTP, the truth is that there is no truth.
Every picture tells a story. Sometimes we don't like the ending. Sometimes we don't understand it.
They are happy to alter the narrative framing on any given topic. They are perfectly content being the villain even.
But I feel like celebrating. I don't. All right.
As long as it means they have some level of control over the discourse.
We wanted to see if you had the ability to expand your mind and your horizons. You were open to options you had never considered. That is the exploration that awaits you, charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
The only goal of the ENTP is to move the goalpost itself, to change the framing entirely.
Highly complex corporate logos. So yeah, we're gonna look at how different company logos have evolved over time. And if any of you companies out there, I know you got a lot of money, especially after the giant wealth transfer that happened in the last year and a half, that the middle class didn't notice all the wealth transfer, all the money that was being sucked from the middle class to the elite class.
The picture that the ENTP paints will be outside the box. They are the ones who draw outside of the lines in a coloring book. The picture that they draw may not be quite as truthful as an INTP's or as flattering as an SFJ's, but it certainly grabs people's attention. And once they got your attention, they can start talking. And once you start listening to them, they've got you.
No way. We got you. Not a chance. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. It's a total fabrication. It never happened.
On to ISFJs, the picture that they paint is a personalized one. Leading with SI, or introverted sensing, they are well-oriented with their past, minor details, and are in touch with bodily sensations. They could take something as mundane as a breakfast you ate together and describe it in such a way that it makes it seem like you have dined with kings in the glorious halls of Valhalla.
Do you remember the Shire, Mr. Fertile? It'll be spring soon. The orchards will be in blossom, and the birds will be nesting in the hazel thicket, and eating the first of the strawberries with cream. Do you remember the taste of strawberries?
Like INTPs, they may be confused for a photographer type, as it seems like they are just capturing reality, but much of their recollections are embellished and exaggerated.
This game is so hard. It would actually be easier to go outside in a thunderstorm and try to dodge rain. It would be easier to walk barefoot without your toes or heels touching the floor. It would be easier to pick fly shit out of pepper while wearing boxing gloves.
Whereas an ISTJ, a photographer type, is more inclined to just tell the facts. An ISFJ, a painter type, often takes the scenic route while storytelling. They will discuss how the flowers smell, even if it is wholly irrelevant to the overall story. They are often considered to be the most thoughtful personality type, since they will remember little details about you and store them away for later use. They are the type most likely to make a homemade gift rather than to buy one.
Oh, come on. I knitted it for you.
An oven mitt?
Even their gifts include a story. At some point, they will have noticed a minor detail about you that they have based their gift idea around. Often, this will be something that the one receiving the gift may never have even thought of. So these gifts often require some explanation, which in turn gets the ISFJ to start storytelling. Quite possibly, the best demonstration of an ISFJ storyteller is Bob Ross. His program is pretty mundane if you really think about it. You are literally watching paint dry. But the appeal of it is the narrative that he tells as he paints. The way that he describes the happy little trees and the colors he uses and just his process itself. The story he is telling is the real picture that he paints.
And by wiggling it and pulling it, it pulls the paint toward the end of the bristles and sharpen it, just like you would a knife. Look at how sharp that is. Boy, that son of a gun is just, you could shave with it. Look at that. Super sharp. Let's decide. Maybe there's a happy tree. Look at that. Isn't that a nice little tree? And he lives right here in this brush. All you have to do is sort of push him out.
Finally, ESFJs are far less personalized with their storytelling than ISFJs. It is more generalized. Leading with FE, or extroverted feeling, they are in touch with social vibes and the feelings of others. They might overlook how an individual feels at times, but are deeply aware of what is socially acceptable and what the community wants from them. They are the live, laugh, love sign of personality types.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me.
The messages they put out are feel-good slogans and mindless positive platitudes.
Don't forget platitudinous.
Because it's less personalized, it may not connect to you on an individual level, but they are fantastic at keeping everyone happy regardless. Their wholesomeness and positivity is contagious.
Once upon a time.
Even if you are aware that you are participating in a farce when engaging with them. They also tend to be extremely interested in gossip, he said, she said drama, and keeping up with the Joneses. So gossiping is their primary mode of storytelling. They paint a picture of the social status of themselves and everyone around them. To someone like me, this makes them the least interesting of these four types, as I could care less about gossip, but they are not to be underestimated. Even on this seemingly trivial level, storytelling is powerful stuff. This is the kind of thing that can ruin someone's reputation, and should not be dismissed so suddenly and scoffed at as unimportant. As you can see, these four painter types are well skilled at creating narratives in order to influence others. If you are one of these types, or suspect that you or someone you know is one, I hope this is helpful. If I seem a bit overly critical, it's only so that these four types can improve themselves, and so that others who encounter painter types with ill intent can see their manipulation tactics and proceed with caution. Despite all my criticisms, I still think that painters are my favorite type of people. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of crafter and photographer types that I like, and ironically I seem to butt heads with sculptor types the most, and I'm one of them, so go figure. But I seem to click most naturally with painters. I don't know if it's just because I enjoy stories, so I'd rather listen to their interesting fictions instead of a crafter ranting about politics, or a photographer dryly explaining things. Or maybe it's just because I want to believe in something, and enjoy participating with them in their creative endeavors. A lot of the stuff that people discuss isn't real anyway, so I'd rather listen to the interesting version, I suppose. When they do their thing, I can just walk right into their world. Our acculturation continues.